Hey you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kate and I'm an English teacher. I've been preparing students for IELTS for 5 years already, and 2 years ago I was offered a position as a university lecturer to teach advanced levels of English and IELTS exam preparation groups. I spent many sleepless nights checking endless writings and speakings and was able to draw out the common mistakes the students make while trying to conquer IELTS exam. I've accumulated quite a few and have decided to launch this series on my YouTube channel, where I will briefly, in 5-10 minutes video, provide you with small tips on how to manage the sections of this exam successfully. These videos are not going to contain some common pieces of advice or vague contemplations on how to succeed in the exam. Instead, you will receive very dense with information videos containing recommendations and tools on how to get hold of specific areas of the exam to increase your overall level and to demonstrate the mastery of English language, which eventually will help you to increase your final IELTS grade. Tip number 1 and the main hero of today's video. And for yourself, you're gonna decide later on, what is it, a friend or a foe? The verb to be. To be is one of the most common verbs in English and indeed ubiquitous. However, it has one crucial flaw. It is an A1 level verb, and it is the reason good enough trying to avoid it, except for the instances where to be is a part of a collocation or a phrasal verb. If you overuse the verb to be, it simplifies your writing tremendously, which eventually leads to a lower grade. Let's take a look at the example. This example I took from one of my students' writings part 1. And for now, let's not pay attention to the present mistakes or mishaps and just focus on the use of the verb to be. So, between 1975 and 1977, the number of workers of fabrics and farms was static, revealing the dominance of the labor force in the production sector by 8 times. So what do we see here? The verb to be is used with the adjective, which is indeed a simple A1, maximum A2 construction, and which contributes to the lower level of our sentence in general. How can it be fixed? Between 1975 and 1977, the number of workers of fabrics and farms plateaued, revealing the dominance of the labor force in the production sector by 8 times. So in this case, we substitute the verb to be with the verb plateau, which is, by the way, if we check it in my favorite Oxford Learner's Dictionary, we can see that it is a C2 level verb, and is going to increase the overall level of our sentence and the writing in general. By the way, you can check the level of any of your written text by using the CEFR text checker. If you need any recommendations and tips on how to work with this one, please let me know in the comments. I'm gonna film the new video for you. Let's take a look at another example, which I took from the Complete IELTS book. So what do we have here? There was a slight increase from just over 4,000 science graduates to just under 5,000. Construction, there is, there are. In our case, it's there was. The past simple construction is again A1 level, which doesn't make it a bad one, okay? But bear with me. It definitely can be leveled up by introducing the subject and changing the stative verb, like the to be, onto the active one. So what do we have in this case? The university experienced a slight increase from just over 4,000 science graduates to just under 5,000. So what do we get? After all, we have got the subject, that is aka the university, and we substituted the construction there is, there are, and the verb to be by the verb experience, which is B1 level. Now comes the best part. Why does the verb to be simplify the overall level of the text so much? Surprise, surprise, because it is a stated verb. and it is designed by nature to describe state, which contradicts the initial idea of writing part 1, especially the line graphs and the bar charts, which is to describe the dynamic changes. Let's take a look at one more example which was used by my student in the table description. However, secondary schools in Denmark were the most attractive places to develop a career as a teacher because tutors got maximum earnings after 8 years of performing. What is possible to do here? So we can substitute the verb to be, like Denmark schools were, we can say secondary schools were illustrated as, or are illustrated as, or secondary schools in Denmark happened to be or were ranked as the most preferable, successful places to develop a career as a teacher, blah, blah, blah. So what happens in this case? In two instances, like are illustrated as and were ranked as, we actually get hold of the verb to be, but we add additional words which are part of the construction of the whole phrase, which add up the level. Thus, the verb to be, as it is, does not contribute to the oversimplification of the sentence. How can you substitute the verb? Well, there are plenty of options which are available in the net and in the books preparing students for IELTS exams, like complete IELTS, objective IELTS, and so on. Of course, we do not go to extremes and we do not try to change every single word onto C1, C2 level synonym. Because in the end, it may seem and sound unnatural and far-fetched. So, for example, take a look at this sentence. In 2002, the university intake was stable, but prior to that, it had fluctuated. This sentence is dense with a variety of high-level vocabulary. Thus, it's not necessary to lay yourself out trying to substitute to be, which in this case actually plays the role of a facilitator between the weighted, if I might say so, quite heavy and dense vocabulary units, like for example, university intake, prior to that, fluctuated. So the overall conclusion, what do we gain if we substitute the verb to be with more advanced active synonyms? First things first, we get rid of this static taste, because your prior task is to show the dynamics in writing part 1. Secondly, we describe the changes more precisely, which is exactly the thing that is required from us to be more specific while providing the description of the graph. Last but not least is you demonstrate your vocabulary mastery by implementing words B1 and higher. So, to make sure you haven't missed a to be, do not forget to proofread your writing to spot any to be's lurking along the lines. Let me know, guys, what are the obstacles you encounter on your IELTS journey, and I will try to give you a hand. Also, let me know in the comments tips on what sections of IELTS exam will be really useful and interesting for you to explore in our next videos. Stay tuned, follow for more, and good luck at your IELTS exam.